Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
They're still here. They're still queer. Are you used to them yet?
Join the Orlando Gay Chorus for an unforgettable evening as they celebrate 35 fabulous years of harmony and inclusivity with their special 35th anniversary concert, A Choral Kaleidoscope.
Friday, May 16th at the Ritz Theater in Sanford, or on May 28th at the Steinmetz Hall at Dr. Phillips Center.
Tickets at orlandogaychorus.org/shows.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine.
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 121.
Oh, my gosh.
Even though it doesn't say that on the script.
You said the wrong number, but I guess I screwed that up. Look, I have one job, and it's to write the number down, and I wrote the wrong number down.
You sure did. But that's okay. That's okay. I caught it, I fixed it, and we move on.
We sure do. We're going to do that right now.
Yeah.
Just because I know we have a lot to talk about.
We do. So speaking of 121, I have a couple of things. Some I thought were kind of, oh, thank you. Yes. Some I thought were interesting. Some are just kind of like, all right. Here's the quick kind of 121, for those who constantly have a headache. That's the identifying imprint on a 400 milligram ibuprofen. So there you go. Also,
how do you find this shit?
Google.
What did you put into the Google sphere to make it tell you this?
I said, "Hey Google, how you doing?" And it said, "I'm doing okay. How you doing, Jeremy?" And I said, "No, how are you doing?" And Google said,
"That's my problem."
You know,
I said, "Bitch, give me the information."
Nobody ever asks me. And then we have a little conversation. We have a glass of wine or two, and then he says, "You know what? You want to hear some cool things about 121, Jeremy?" And I said, "I sure do, Google." And he goes, "Well, here you go." And he said, "Did you know the 121 Squadron of the Royal Air Force was one of the Eagle Squadrons during World War II?
So I guess you'll tell me the real story later.
And I was like, oh, I just Googled 121. That's all I do.
You just 121, enter. That's all you did.
Enter, and then I just scroll through.
How many pages do you have to go through?
I usually go through the first 3 pages.
Okay.
To get my tidbits.
Gotcha. I only go through the first one. And
oh, well, there you go.
That's why I know I have facts.
Ooh, this one I didn't like this one. Unit 121 is Hezbollah's Assassination Squad. That's the name of Hezbollah's Assassination Squad.
You said unit.
The unit has conducted deadly car bombings targeting Lebanese military and political leaders. Ooh, and journalists. Oh.
Yeah, we don't like that.
We don't like that at all. Here's the ones I thought were kind of cool. 121 is the name of a song by Australian singer Robert Forster, who I'm not familiar with, but on the album Calling from a Country Phone, he sings, I wrote the chorus down. And it's tombstones, cobblestones, all those old bones that lie beneath this city, but I want to see her 1-to-1. 121. Yeah. Yeah. You want to hear how stupid I am?
Good job. You're like, wants to see her 121.
I read the lyrics like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I don't get why he calls the song 1-to-1. Because I kept saying 121 in my head, but he says 121. But it's T-O. And in my head, I was like, I don't get it. And then I was like, you're so stupid.
Aw. Stupid is as stupid does.
Indeed. My favorite one is 121 Hermione, is a very large binary asteroid discovered in 1872. It orbits the Sybil group in the far outer asteroid belt. As an asteroid of the dark sea spectral type, it is probably composed of carbonous materials.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Is that discovered by Harry Potter?
Well, Harry Potter's best friend. And in 2002, it was discovered that a small moon was orbiting Hermione. Its name, Ron.
Hermione is her comet.
So those are the 121s I found. What you got? I know
are you ready for mine? So this one is not the typical one. So I'll do this one first, and then we'll go through the typical ones. Did you know that? So I went with January 21st, 121.
Oh, okay. See, I never think to Google the date.
Do you know what happened on this date in 2020?
January 21st? Ooh, I bet it has
2020.
something to do with COVID in China.
It was the first confirmed case of COVID in the United States. That's as interesting as it gets. Are you ready for the 121st greatest
Yes, lay it on me.
film of all time?
Hit me with it.
Do you want to know? I'm going to give you some. My phone's blowing up, by the way, so I just,
Oh my God, mine too.
because we are going.
Do you
to
think
press,
it's the same one?
So I
same person?
feel like I have to check it, but I'm in the middle of talking. I'll wait until you start, and then I'll check my messages. It'll be
Way to pay
great back.
attention.
It'll be great back and forth banter. All right, so I'm going to give you some people. This is a movie you're going to know.
Okay.
I think it's from 1979.
Kramer versus Kramer.
No, but that's a good guess. And I will tell you that Meryl Streep is in the cast
Manhattan.
of this.
Is it Manhattan?
He just took all the fun out of it.
No, and here's why it's so stupid.
How do you know this?
Because I was born in 1979, and I went through this period where I was obsessed about everything, all the kind of entertainment people were into in 1979.
All right, well, this is going to be a short podcast then.
But
All
yeah,
right.
she did Manhattan, and Kramer versus Kramer got back-to-back nominations.
Oh, really?
She won for Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to talk about how Manhattan is a Woody Allen film about a guy who has a relationship with a 17-year-old.
I believe they call that foreshadowing.
I didn't realize that Meryl Streep and Diane Keaton and Mariel Hemingway were in a documentary.
Yeah.
All right, 121st. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, have you ever seen Manhattan?
No, I mean I just got back from Manhattan.
It's okay. The movie Manhattan is beautiful. I've been to Manhattan once.
It's beautiful, but
but
at this time of year, it kind of starts to smell.
That's what I've heard.
It smells like piss
Because
everywhere.
I'm going to be there next month, obviously, and I've heard that everybody's like, "You're moving there in the summer. It's going to smell like urine." And I was like, "Where doesn't it smell like urine these days?"
Right here, but give it 5 minutes. I just had an energy
Oh.
drink. Okay, 121st greatest director of all time. Now, this one you're going to get, and it's very difficult for me to try to get you to guess it without
Blatantly giving it away.
giving it away. So I'm going to say there are two movies. I don't know which one to go with. I'm going to go
Why
with.
don't you tell me what year they came out? That'll help.
Well, no, this is the director.
Right,
So
but
I'm
if you
gonna
can tell me
name-
the year the two movies came out, maybe I can figure the director out.
Oh, well, I mean, I can just throw out a year. A guy makes a lot of movies. I can just say
But if you give
2003.
two, I can do the trajectory. Right.
Oh, you're going to
pinpoint.
beautiful mind this?
I'm gonna pull
I've
it in
never
from
heard
here.
of this movie, so I'm going to
Okay.
go with this one.
Okay.
Radioland Murders.
Radioland Murders? I have never heard of that movie.
Okay. This one I have heard of, but it's a bit older. Not like black and white old.
Yeah.
Tucker, the man in his dream.
Oh, shit, who directed Tucker? Oh my God, I know. It's got, Susan Sarandon's ex-husband in it. Tim Robbins is
Are
stars
they
in it.
exes?
Yeah,
They never got married though. They were one of the power couples of Hollywood that didn't get married.
But yeah, they did split up. Was that Joel Cohen who directed that?
No.
Oh no, that was Hudsucker Proxy.
If you could see 3PO my sheet, you might guess who it is.
George Lucas directed Tucker?
Yeah.
I did
Isn't
not.
it crazy? Like there was in the list of movies he's done. I'm like every one of these give it away.
I think I'm thinking of Hudsucker Proxy, which has Tim Robbins in it.
You are because Tucker is played by Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Bridges.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of a different movie.
I'm pretty sure of that. And also, we're not really good at research, so we could
No.
both be wrong.
No, I honestly thought George Lucas only directed American Graffiti and the Star Wars
Oh,
movies.
I almost said American Graffiti again because isn't that what the second one was called? But I will say what we lack in research, we more than make up for in opinions.
Sure. Yeah.
In worthless opinions. All right, so 121.
Yeah.
That means did we celebrate our second year anniversary? That would have been a few.
We haven't reached second year, have we?
Yeah, because there's 52.
There's 52 weeks. That
would be 104. And we're at 121. So we didn't celebrate our 2-year anniversary.
No, we surely didn't.
Oh, well. Congratulations.
I look at us doing podcasts like my birthdays. After a certain point, who gives a shit?
Hopefully our listeners don't say that.
We're actually
Almost.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Well, in January. I think in January is when our
Yeah, I feel like
anniversary is.
we started in January. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, good for us. Congratulations.
So I know it's been a busy
Cheers.
week. I know it's been a busy week for me.
It sure has.
But I imagine it's been a busy week for you. So how's it been, Jeremy?
All right.
What you got going on this week?
I am going to save what we did together for last because we did a
Good.
couple of things together this week. But
So you're
there
saying
are-
we're saving the best for last?
Yes, there
No.
are two things that I want
So
to.
we're saving what we did together for
Yes,
last.
there are two things I want to draw attention to that I thought were interesting. So, well, not interesting. Well, and I can't remember if I mentioned this last week on the last podcast, but we had found an apartment we were looking at. We put a bid on it. We got approved. We signed the lease. We officially have a place to live in New York City.
Yay!
It is the apartment near the. I'm not going to get too descriptive because now that we are moving in there, I don't want people stalking me. Or maybe
You want me
I
to post
do.
the
I don't
photo?
know. Huh?
You want me to post the photo?
Why just stop at a photo? I will send you the video of the walkthrough, and I'll send you the address. You throw all that online.
I will tell you that one of the names that you threw out of what it was sandwiched in between is no longer the case.
Yes. Is
So-
it still a bodega at that corner?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I care about. Here,
Well,
because
it's like a little mark. Yeah.
yeah, I was talking to my mother. I was like, hey, we got the apartment, and I was kind of going through the process of what we had to do next. And I had a collection of what I like to call New York words that I was throwing out there, like super and bodega. And I'd be very upset if there was not a bodega on the corner.
It's interesting that you say that. I'm glad that you did because I wouldn't call that a bodega. I would call that like that's a market.
I only called it a bodega because that's what they called it on Google.
Oh.
When I pulled up Google and was like walking up and down the street on Google Street, it was Daily Show, coffee shop, bodega.
See, I have an idea of what a bodega is in my head.
Yeah.
And so like a little market grocery store
Yeah.
is not a bodega
I'll
to me.
be honest,
a bodega has to serve like lunch and breakfast.
New York
and
wise, being next to a bodega sounds cool, but in all honesty, it probably benefits me more to be next to a market. Because I feel like I'll use it more. Go do my grocery shopping and
Oh,
stuff.
I live down the street from a bodega. When I lived there, it's now a Taco Bell, which thank God it wasn't when I lived there.
Oh,
Or I
my.
would have been fat as shit because
what do you
like I would have
mean? You
eaten
walk up
Taco
and
Bell every day.
downstairs and-
But having that little, whether it's a bodega or a market, or whatever it is, to be
Yeah.
right there. Oh, heaven. Because when it's raining or when it's cold as shit or it's snowing, you just go run in, run out and
Yeah.
get whatever. And I don't know if you like to cook or
love cooking.
bake or anything like that, but sometimes I'll be making something and I'll be like, oh, crap, I need this. Run around out and get it.
Nice.
It's perfect.
Now I know you mentioned because when I was walking up and down the street on Google, there was a coffee shop on the first floor of my building. You said it was closed. And I Googled it, and it says on Google temporarily closed.
Oh, maybe it's just
So I
being
was like,
renovated.
oh, maybe they're getting renovated. But I also did a story last week about a business where some stuff happened, and his business also is listed on Google as temporarily closed. So I don't know if Google's
Do I know
version
this
of-
business?
Huh?
I would know this business if I read the article, right?
The spa? The masseuse?
Oh, ugh.
So it's listed as temporarily closed. So
That's
I
going
don't
to be closed
know.
for more than temporary.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if Google just throws temporarily closed up there until it gets
Or-
verification or.
Or he could have just opened himself up to a whole new clientele.
Yeah. But I was talking to Caitlin about this earlier. If it is closed, I don't have a job set up yet. Maybe I open a coffee shop.
Oh, my God. And I will call you Gunter.
Oh my God, I told her I'll be the next Gunther without the cancer.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't want
I'm
that.
a hypochondriac.
Nah.
So, no.
Just bleach your hair.
I can do that. Fall in love with a local girl who's in love with a goofy guy who works at the museum. My plan is coming
I mean,
together.
wasn't he a gay guy who was in love with a girl? I thought
I don't know
Gunther
if he
was
was.
gay.
He gave gay tendency.
Yeah.
He gave gay vibes.
As you like to say, he was giving bottom vibes.
He was,
Do you want to tell that story?
No, I have that. That's
Oh,
the
that's so
next. I said
exciting.
I had two things
Oh,
that I
okay.
did today or this week that didn't involve you. Well, I guess this kind of involved you. But so we have started, or we have an individual on staff who puts videos together and puts them up. We're throwing out TikToks of our
We're
stuff.
trying to get more people interested in our
So
show.
last week we or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, a couple of weeks ago, we reviewed The Wedding Banquet.
Wedding Banquet, yes.
And I may have made a comment.
You're not going to say this person's name, right?
The actor or the person?
commenter?
No disrespect. I don't know who she is.
Good. Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're not going to like blast
No.
people for real.
Honestly, I read the comment and I read the name and I was like, I don't know who you
blah,
are.
blah, blah, blah.
In fact, as I read the comment, I saw Thanos from Avengers Endgame and I was like, I don't even know who you are. Click. Moving along. So Bowen Yang and Han Ji Chan are the two male couple in the movie. I made a comment where I said they both seem like bottoms.
You said they were giving bottom energy.
They were giving bottom energy.
That's what you said.
And she commented on the video, and she said, and I say she, I'm assuming Bowen Yang's mom, said, well, you don't get any energy. And I was like, sure, but you ain't gotta fucking tell people. Why you gotta hurt my feelings like that?
I just want to know from this person, how does she know?
How do you know?
What kind of energy by calling somebody saying they give out bottom energy is giving?
Are you hanging out in front of my house?
And
do you know what I do?
And was she talking to you? Or was she talking to me?
Because in the clip, you do comment when I say they're giving off, because I don't use names. I say they are giving bottom energy. And you said, are you talking about the couple in the movie or are you talking about me and my husband? And I just moved on. I didn't specify. So I don't know if she was coming to the defense of Bowen Yang and Han Chi Chan or you and Dylan. However, they had the season finale of SNL this past weekend. I watched it, and Bowen Yang does a video skit with Scarlett Johansson where he is intentionally trying to give off heterosexual top energy. And I was like, did it get back to him?
I thought you were going to say that he was wearing a t-shirt at the end that said Big Bottom Energy.
Was he?
And if he was,
okay,
that would have been super exciting.
I don't know what he was wearing because I didn't watch it live. I watched it the next day on Peacock. And Peacock, I guess because it ran long, cut off Scarlett Johansson as she was, you know how they do at the end? They're like, thank the musical guest.
And it made it sound like she was insulting Lorne Michaels when she was giving him a really good compliment.
And it cuts off. And I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know what he was. He may have been wearing a shirt that said, fuck you, Jeremy. You bottom bitch. And I would say valid.
I think it said, I'm going to top you, Jeremy, when you move. And then he had a picture of him outside your apartment.
Oh, no. Or, oh, yes. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, are you a star?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Bowen Yang. He seems delightful. And we talked about this. Maybe some people, and I feel like a lot of straight people, when they're like hear gay guys talking about, oh, you little bottom queen, like it's an insult. I don't see being a bottom as an insult.
And that's what I want to say to said commenter.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ted Lasso taught me to ask a bunch of questions. So my question to you is, did you think we were insulting them?
Yeah.
Or do you think calling somebody a bottom is an insult? Because we don't. I love bottoms.
I love bottoms. Well,
bottoms
I love tops because I'm not ashamed of it. While I have dabbled across the board, I settle into a nice bottom energy. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, lady.
The way you just worded that, I love it. You settled into a nice bottom energy.
I tried a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I said, you know what, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Now, I will say it kind of, I know
and
a lot of...
And it comes out when you're in the presence of a hot person.
Yeah, I know that gay guy or bottoms like to say, I'm verse. But I settled into the position that fits for the relationship. So if I'm dating someone or going out on a date or hooking up with somebody who's giving like full on, I'm a total bottom energy, I can slip into top, but I enjoy the bottom energy, the nurturing. I like to take care.
I gotta say, I appreciate. I'm not the bottom energy type. But it's just because I'm fucking lazy. Excuse my language. I'm gonna cuss a lot today. it's just I'm just there's so much work that goes into it, and I appreciate that work.
Also, you and I are in our late 40s, early 50s.
I think it's the older you get, the less bottomy you get too.
Forget bottom energy. There is no energy. There, you know what? I'm
All
not
my
topping.
energy-
I'm not bottoming. I'm not siding.
All my energy comes in a
I
pill.
am sitting in my recliner, eating my meal prepped foods, and I'm watching Philip DeFranco or John Oliver. I'm not anything energizing, lady. So how about you mind your fucking business? Moving on. What else did you do this week?
Oh, that's good times. Good times. So thanks for commenting. Please like and share.
Yeah, we do love a good fan.
We
Keep
could use one right
commenting.
now because, like, listen, those that are watching the video and listening, let me know this. Does it look like? Yeah. What's up? Hey, fam. Does it does it look like we're being filmed without air conditioning?
Holy shit, it is so hot in
we
here.
are, and you're drinking wine, and
You know what? I really think that by the end of this podcast, I might be doing it topless. I'm just saying. Stay tuned, loyal viewers.
tits out kind of show.
You thought I was giving bottom energy last week.
Here's my top. Okay, so my week was packed. So I'll try to run through it as fast
you had
as
a
I can.
very busy week.
In all of my pages here. So I went to New York.
Yeah,
right?
you did.
Had an early flight on Tuesday morning, very early flight. And so Dylan was in St. Pete.
Mm-hmm.
He came to Orlando late Monday, and it was about 11 o'clock. And we're like, hey, let's start packing. And the reason I didn't pack ahead of time is because we're trying to save some money. So we were just going to use one suitcase. We're going to one big one, save some money.
He's your big Disney one.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Of course I did. I mean, say what you want about it, but I know exactly where my bag is at all times.
That the important thing with luggage is that you can identify it easily.
Yeah.
There's like 400 black regular suitcases. You're digging through that shit. You can find yours right away.
Yeah. And I have so much commentary to say about people waiting for their luggage that I'll try not to get into because they're irritating as you can put. Anyway, so we're packing, and Dylan comes into the room, and he's like, he does this thing all the time. I have some good news and I have some bad news. And then I'm always like, give me the bad news first and we'll end it on a good note. And I was like, what's the bad news? And he's like, I think I lost my ID.
Oh,
He's like,
shit.
I went to buy wine when I was in St. Pete. He bought a bottle of wine for some meeting he had, and he couldn't find his ID, and he thinks he lost it at that store.
Oh,
It's
damn.
like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, that doesn't sound like there's any good news.
No, I don't fly often, but I think they still need to see your
Not
ID.
only do they need to see your ID, but this is like 2 days after you have to have the star
shit, that's
on
right.
it. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, the real ID.
Yeah, you have to have the
stuff
real
started.
ID
Yeah.
now. So it's a whole thing, and we're just kind of like, I'm just staring, and I'm like, but you implied there was good news, and he's like, yeah, there is none, and I was like, okay. So then we thought
The good news is, I'm sorry.
There's that big bottom energy again. So we go on cruises from time to time, so we know he has a passport. So I said, okay, well, I was like, you have your passport, right? And he goes, I have a passport, but I do not have my passport. And I was like,
Are you silenced or were you silenced?
so it's in, I was like, do you know where it is? And he's like, yeah, it's in my nightstand at the house in St. Pete. Now it's 11:30-ish. It's 11:15.
Now, I'm ignorant to this whole traveling thing because I don't travel very often, and I don't even have a passport. But if you have a passport, you don't need your driver's license?
Because you need your driver's license and a birth certificate to get everything you need to get a real ID. You need to get your real ID, and then you need that to get a passport.
Oh, I understand. Okay, so you can use your passport, and you don't need everything else. Okay.
Passport is the ultimate.
Okay.
So, so I'm like, okay, well, I guess we have to go get it. Now, the sadness overtaking my mind at this point.
Now, because I don't think you mentioned this, you two are in Orlando, but his passport is in St. Petersburg.
I did not mention that. It is now 11:15.
Yes.
We are both in Orlando, and it is, and by the way, thank you, Florida Department of Transportation, for the shitty decision making to make 4 or 5 different points of I-4 shut down to one lane after
Jesus.
10 or after like 8:30 at night. So I know that if we go to St. Petersburg to pick up its passport,
You're not back for like 4 hours.
Oh, 4 hours.
8 hours.
No, it's gonna take.
You
It's
might
gonna
as well fly out of
It's
Tampa.
gonna take 2.5 hours to get there and 2.5 back.
Jesus. And what time is it?
This is 11:15
What time
at
is
night.
your flight?
7 a.m.
Oh,
So we
Jesus.
have to get up at 4:30. So if we make this trip, we're
You go
getting
right
to
to the
bed at
airport.
3:30. We're gonna sleep for an hour.
Just go right to the
and
airport.
I'm going there to see a concert Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be like dead tired, and I'm just like, oh, what are we gonna do? So I did this thing, and and thank you so much. We make so much fun of him, but he's such a nice person.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to ask, because if it's going to save, an hour and a half to 2 hours of my time and I'll get more sleep, I need to do this. So I texted Ryan, and it was like 11:15, and I'm like, sup?
You up?
Sup? You up? BBE here. No, so and Ryan does this thing where his phone automatically at 11:30 gets on Do Not Disturb.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah, so he has it set.
I am so technologically
and
stupid.
I didn't know this, but it was like 11:28, and when the text got through, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm," and I was like, "Listen, I'm going to ask you this ridiculous favor, and you don't have to say yes." And I really meant that. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to. I can do this, but it would be really helpful, and I will pay you for your time if you will go to my house and get Dylan's passport and meet me in Lakeland, because that way we're meeting halfway.
Did you pay him?
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan did.
Would it be
'Cause
rude
Dylan
for
felt
me to
bad.
ask
No,
how much that,
look, I
that
shouldn't even
fee
be.
cost,
I
or how
shouldn't
much
be.
that service costs?
I shouldn't even be telling the story because Dylan feels terrible about this. Like
Yeah.
he feels really bad about it. Turns out, by the way, that when he went to get gas, his card fell out of his wallet. And it was at Wawa. And he went back to the Wawa when he was in St. Pete again. And they were like, "Oh, you. This is your
Hey,
ID.
we know you. That's
Yeah.
you.
So we got it back. But he had already, on the way to pick up his passport, he had already ordered a new one.
Oh,
wait, $50. I was
that's
gonna
not
get, yeah,
bad.
I was gonna give him more, but he said he didn't want anything, so $50.
Yeah.
So we fly out there. I'm dead ass tired. Like, people are trying to talk to me in the morning. Like, Jen's like, "Are you excited? You're going to see Air Supply."
Like, stop talking
Listen,
to me.
y'all, I need 8 hours of sleep. I need 8 hours of sleep. I want 9. If I don't get it, I'm just not. I mean, I don't know. Am I a happy person anyway? I'm just really not a happy person.
No, I get you. I'm the
So-
same way. You need to. You can't just.
Yeah.
You can't be friendly and fun on fumes.
Yeah, and so we get there. So we get to New York. I mean, I tried to sleep most of the way what I could, and we get there and we can't check into the hotel, so we got to walk around. And so it's not like I can go to sleep.
Oh,
I can't
jeez.
check in until 3, and the show's it's just all this. And so we're like, well, we'll go to lunch, and we're going to find places, and Dylan's making jokes and like holding my hand, and we're walking through the village, and he's like, no, and he's like, no, not funny. And I just looked at him, and I was like, I am so tired. I cannot laugh at anything. And he was like, I know, me too. And I was like, well, you're just more mature than me. You can handle it better than I can. So luckily though, we got into the hotel in time for me to take like a 2-hour nap, and I slept hard. And so I was really rested and rejuvenated and ready to go and see this concert. And I just got to say, I made like one of the best decisions of my life to go to this show. And it sounds
Good
silly
show.
to say, but it was so incredible because it was Carnegie Hall and it was New York City. It was like the whole place. It wasn't full of people. Like, okay, so I went to go see the same show in Clearwater. So there are people who have season tickets to that outdoor amphitheater, and they all go to every show and everything. So they may or may not care about Air Supply. They may know 3 or 4 Air Supply songs.
Yeah.
But when you go to Carnegie Hall in New York City to see Air Supply at a sold-out show, every single person in
Is
that
a
place
massive fan.
knew they were all me. There was a whole thing of me. I get chills thinking about it. And it was just sort of, first of all, it's beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been inside Carnegie Hall. It is just beautiful.
I
And it is
personally have never
huge.
been in, but I have seen photos of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
It is beautiful.
It's like 6 levels high. and goes back, and I happened to get a seat in row F like a week before the show. I don't know how this happened. I was so close, and it was just me.
Did Dylan? Oh, I was just gonna say, is it Dylan or just you?
No, just me.
All right.
And and I'm surrounded by like these super fans. Like, I mean, these people were super fans, and it was.
What is Air Supply's fans called?
Airheads. Was that the title of my column?
Okay, yes,
I'm an
it was.
airhead. Yeah, it was the title of my column.
Yeah.
For this, and yeah, they called it airhead, and he actually said it for the first time on stage. He's because he made some comment about how we're all airheads. So I want to tell you a couple of things of why this show was so incredible, and the differences from the shows I had seen before. It was really a moving experience for me. Usually they'll come out on stage and everybody claps, and you're just sitting there and you watch the whole show and you sit. For the first 2 songs, everyone stood and was screaming for the first 2 songs. And I've never experienced that in a show of theirs before. People were just so excited. And I think it was something they hadn't experienced before. They weren't used to that. Now, it's been a lifelong dream of theirs to perform at Carnegie Hall. Like, they performed at Madison Square Garden, but they opened for Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
But so this was their 50th anniversary. It's actually the day after the 50th anniversary of the day they met.
Oh,
and
wow.
so it was a big deal for them. And it was, you could tell that this meant a lot to them. So as much as we all appreciated their music and what the music had gotten us throughout the years, they were standing there just in awe of these people who were making their dreams come true. So it was just really a cool thing. And the sound was great. Looking around, there was I noticed this kid because he was wearing like a red tuxedo, which I thought was weird. But he's sitting in the center, and he must have been. I think he might have been related to one of them. I don't know. But I noticed. I looked over, and he was singing every song like he wrote it, like he was belting it all out. And just 2 rows behind him, more over towards my side, was a guy in his 80s.
Yeah.
Who was also belting out every song like he wrote it. And it was just this really amazing experience. And towards the end of the show, they started announcing like who was in the audience. And it was really cool because these guys are in their 70s and they're experiencing something that they had always wished for. It was just kind of this thing to watch people's dreams come true when in their 70s was really inspiring to think, like, as much as you might feel trapped in a job or in a place or whatever you're doing, that there is always a chance for your dreams to come true. And I thought that was pretty cool. But their manager, I guess, who's been their manager since day one, was in the audience, and they recognized him. But then their band, who's younger, like all of their family was there, so they were living out this fantasy of theirs in their 20s, while these guys in their 70s are living out their fantasy, while I'm just sitting in there soaking up these people screaming. Like, it was crazy. I took a lot of videos of the audience reaction and everything. It just was a really great experience. I know there's somebody that asked me how the concert was, and when I was trying to explain this to them like this, they kind of rolled their eyes. And I was like, you know what? You can have that, and I don't care, because I had this incredible, wonderful experience.
My Air Supply is Sheryl Crow, and I've seen her in concert several times. And particularly, like, I've been a fan of her since the 90s. And when I was in the military, I would get shit from people because, you'd be
because
sitting
you
around,
sounded gay.
Because I sounded really gay. But because, you talk about, oh, I like this person. You just sit around and you bullshit. And I would get so much shit about being a fan of Sheryl Crow. And they're like, only lesbians like Sheryl Crow. I was like, well, I basically lived like a lesbian in high school. I wore flannel. I listened to Sheryl Crow and Melissa Etheridge and Alanis Morissette. So call me a lesbian. But yeah, you find yourself, particularly if it's not somebody who's super mainstream, you find yourself always feeling like you have to defend why they're so great. And you don't have to, because, if you think they're great, who gives a fuck what other people think?
I gotta tell you, until this concert, I used to always tell people, I got terrible taste in music. I love Air Supply. And after this concert, it's like, no, I don't have terrible taste in music. They're incredible.
Yeah.
And I
love them because you love them.
I
and
gotta
who cares
say,
what people
too,
think?
that there was this moment where they came out for the encore and they sang I forget what song it was. It Can't Live If Living Was Without You. I think Mariah Carey does a version of it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's belting this thing out, and it's kind of interesting because he's singing these words, I can't give anymore. And he was pouring everything he had into it. And you could tell like he was, because he was so energized by it, because the crowd was screaming for 5 minutes for them to come back out. And afterwards, like the guy who writes all the songs, the taller one that plays the guitar, pointed to him, to the guy who was singing, because it was incredible, and everybody was screaming and cheering. And I think it was like he didn't expect all of that, and it just all hit him, and he started crying. And then I'm just like, oh my God, this is almost over. I got to go. And so then I leave the show, and Dylan's out there waiting on me, and he's like,
are you okay?
He goes, are you crying? And I was like, no.
Listen, you know my feelings. You know my feelings on crying.
Yes.
But sometimes you just can't help it. And I'll tell you, last week the main last trailer for the Superman movie was released, and I will admit I cry every fucking time I watch that trailer.
Oh, I need to watch that then.
It is from the moment
I'm very excited about this show.
I've always been a DC guy, and usually, particularly with the movies. There you go. Yeah. Because Marvel obviously has been very successful, DC has been very bumpy. And ever since I was a kid, I've always been more DC than Marvel. So it's been tough watching these heroes in my eyes get just basically kicked into the mud by people like, oh, these movies suck. But to see that trailer and to be like, that movie looks so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And from the moment, because it opens with Lois and Clark, and you find out in the movie that she already knows that he's Superman, and he says, you can interview me as Superman. And the first half of the trailer is her interviewing him, and they're getting into it, and because she takes her job seriously, and he gets into it, and then he has like this outburst that goes into these moments where Superman is being Superman. And it's like every time and it's not even like it's like I bawl like a fucking baby. I'm going to be so mad at this movie. I was like, he's such a good man.
Well,
I just fucking love it so much. And I can't wait for this movie.
Watch it here before you go to New York. You don't want to be you don't want to be sitting alone in the theater in New York crying.
Or maybe I do amongst my peers.
Go to Chelsea then and see it in Chelsea. Okay, so that was a really great experience.
Yes.
And then
I'm glad you got to see that.
Then the next day we went to go see, and I'm very excited about this too. We went to see Floyd Collins, which is a musical where Jeremy Jordan is not
so much.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Oh, I fucking love that man.
We were so close to the stage.
Oh, did he sweat on you?
We were so close, like almost like. Listen,
when you saw Jonathan Groff's musical, and you were like, he was sweating everywhere. Yeah. Jeremy Jordan, like, if he sweat on me, I could die happy.
He was sweating at some point. It's okay. This show, I never wanted to see it.
Yeah,
it sounds like a terrible show. It's about a guy. I mean, it's a true story about a guy in the 1930s, I think, who lived in Kentucky, and he would go cave diving to try to find caves that he could turn into tourist destinations that he could then charge people to go into the cave and see. Right. So if you've ever been on vacation and you're like, oh, let's go check out this cave tour, that's there because people like him would go in there and find them and that kind of thing. And he got stuck in a cave. And it was like, is he going to live? Is he going to die? How's that all playing out? And all the craziness that ensues nationally and at this place when the news broke that he was in there. And crazy. I will tell you this, though. That I won't tell you. Maybe I won't give it away. Maybe I will. Yeah. But he was in that cave for 2 weeks.
Damn.
Either before they rescued him or before he died.
This isn't the same story as the movie 127 Hours?
No, that's the guy who's rock climbing who got cut. He cut off his arm and lived.
Yeah.
This guy was crazy. Like, I mean, he couldn't move. And there's this song towards the end, and it's so great. Jeremy Jordan is singing it, but he's in his own mind about something, and so he stands up from this thing. And he's got to be as close to me as like the corner of this room.
Damn.
And he's just tears welled up in his eyes. And he's like, he's just sort of like melting. He's so damn good.
Yeah. I love him.
So good. But I want to give a shout out to whoever designed this set, because when we walked in to sit down, it was a blank set. It was as blank and as boring as the Sunset Boulevard set. But what they did, which is so cool, is when he comes on stage, and he starts to like he's going down in the cave, parts of the floor start folding up. Now they're still just black cubes and things like that, but they just go, and then the center, this long piece just comes way up like this, and then he's got his rope and he's kind of going in and out of this thing to make it look like he's on a brilliant. I mean, it was so interesting the way it was done, and a lot of the cast was really good. It was a really good show. And, period pieces don't really work for me. Yeah, but this did. They had me hooked from the beginning.
Because he got a Tony nomination. He was in Newsies. But the first time that how I became familiar with Jeremy Jordan is the second season of Smash. That NBC show.
I didn't make it to season 2.
Season 2 is so much better than season 1. And there's a scene in the very last episode where the whole cast sings Under Pressure from Queen and David Bowie.
Oh, yeah.
And oh, Jesus. Who's the lead singer of Queen? Jesus Christ.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, thank you. That note that Freddie Mercury hits in Under Pressure, where he just goes really high. Jeremy Jordan does that note, and it is like, that is what made me fall in love with him.
Yeah, he's
such
talented.
a good performance.
He's very talented.
So talented.
So that was really good. When we left there, though, we went to go eat. We were starving, so we went to Junior's, which I highly recommend. It's like a touristy trap in Times Square, but man, their food is like
What kind of food?
It's like diner, like a Jewish deli diner kind of thing.
I love a good diner.
If you want, did you say you like a good diner?
I sure did, but I meant diner.
I was like, I think that's a euphemism that I call lady parts. I was like, whoa.
I slurred.
I was like,
I slurred there for a moment. My apologies.
So, but it's like they have like Reuben sandwiches, corned beef sandwiches that are the best I've ever had.
Nice.
Also, their malts and shakes are super delicious, and they're known for like their cheesecakes and things like that too.
Okay.
So it's a great place to go. But we went there and we were kind of like, we didn't know what to get, so we're just like, you know what, I want to taste all these different desserts, so let's just get a bunch of different desserts. So we got like 8 different desserts, huge like plates of like, we got black and white cookies, arugulas, cheesecake.
I love a good black and white cookie.
Some other things, and like we put our order in, and the waiter started laughing, and he's like, "You're my kind of table." And then when they brought it out, it was just full of desserts. I paid for it later on.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, but it was so delicious. So that was kind of fun. And then the next morning we woke up and no stomachache was going to stop this. We went to the East Village to go to Mario's to pick up some scones. Yes. Damn good. And I'll tell you what, mine got real close to it. And now I figured out the secret why mine were different. And why, listen, if you're going to put a copycat recipe of something online, know the kind of flour that they use. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you go into Mario's, like I think they sell certain things that they use to make them. And so the whole wall, a whole line, it's self-rising flour. And why wouldn't you say the flour really makes a difference, the type that you use? So why wouldn't you say it was self-rising flour? Anyway, next time I'm going to make those. So we left there and we went to Chinatown. Do you know why we went to Chinatown?
Probably
because
buy more bags.
My husband is obsessed with bags. So we went and he bought a Birkin, which he's super excited about. Looks really cute. And he did the whole thing, tied the scarf around the handles and walks around like, he's adorable. And I love that he loves his bag. But where we're sitting there, it's definitely a purse. But we're going to call it a bag. But then they kept trying to ask me, as like the man of the relationship. They're like, you want to watch? You want to watch? And I was like, no. But
I want a bag too.
I was like, but show me that bag. So I ended up getting a Prada, but it's cool because it's like it's like the black bag that I have. It just doesn't have a flap on it, and it's like a little. I mean, I'm sure it's a purse, but it goes around.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like a satchel, and I love it. I haven't used it yet because I wasn't gonna walk around New York with it, and I just haven't had the right occasion to need it here. But I will. I'm trying to normalize in my life carrying a bag because I need a place to put my readers. So I'm gonna make that happen. Then we found a new soup dumpling place, and I highly recommend it. It's better than the one that I used to go to. It's the new 456 Shanghai, 456 Shanghai, something like that.
I'll check it out.
And then we stopped by your apartment.
Yes, you did. You sent me a photo out in front of the apartment.
Yeah, and
Very nice.
I must say
Nice neighborhood?
that it was. Yeah, I liked it a lot because, well, you're on a certain avenue. I won't say which, but you're on a certain avenue. And we went like 2 avenues in and walked down the street, and there were a good 3 or 4 blocks of tons of rainbow flags.
Nice.
And so we ended up eating at a place called Mama's. And it's like real junk food, but it was super, super good. Really, really liked it. And they're as nice as they can be. I mean, I don't know. You ever go to a restaurant in New York, you're not getting like, hey, how are you?
Yeah, it's not
what do you
Southern
want?
like, hey, baby, what you doing?
But it was great. The neighborhood was great. Lots of places to eat. And what we liked about it is like it's a little bit back from the, like say you got the Broadway and the 8th Broadway and 7th. That's all like super touristy. But when you get back to those on either side of that, when you get to really east or really west, you're at locals territory, and there's just so much good food and so many cool things to see, and I really liked it. I was very happy for you when I experienced all that, and I said, you know what,
looking forward to it.
I will say this. I don't think I've ever said this to you, but part of me is like, wow, is he gonna be okay up there? Like, is he gonna like it? And is there gonna, what's he gonna do? And I was like, oh, this is great. He's really gonna like this. So
I'm excited.
Then the only other thing I did without you is I went to the St. Pete Gala.
Oh, how was that?
Equality Florida St. Pete Gala. Nadine spoke, and if you ever hear Nadine speak, it's
as
fantastic.
She does when she goes to those things.
There's just a weird thing. It was a weird thing. Like, I'm very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. And when I make up my mind about something, I tend to be like, nah. Especially if there's something that's going wrong, I'll say, I'm going to take this problem and make it go away. And this is my solution, and we don't have to talk about it anymore. So when we got there, something had happened. We had email issues a couple weeks ago, so they didn't get our list of who was going.
Yeah.
So when we got there, that we weren't on a list, and we were on a list, therefore we didn't have a table, and it was a sit-down dinner. And so they were very nice, and and they tried to find spots, but there were 6 of us, and it was 3 couples. So when they found a table, and they're like, I can sit 3 here, I was like, well, I was like, we have this guy who's new, and I was like, well, why don't you and your friend take those seats because you're new and you haven't been here before, and the rest of us will just stand at this table in the back. We'll just stand in the back and watch the show. It's no big deal. And then they found another. So then there were 4 of us, and then they found another table for 3, and they're like, "Please take those 3 chairs." And I was like,
"Just sit."
I was like, "Well, who's gonna stand back here by themselves?" So I was like, "No." But I also said when they were looking for seats, I was like, "Please don't put yourself out. We're fine right here." So it was just kind of an awkward exchange. I think they really wanted me to sit down, and I was like, but because I guess I think they were trying to tell me you're not going to get any food.
Yeah.
If you don't sit down. But I wasn't hearing that, so we just stood up back there, and then as the food was coming out, I started getting more hungry. So I had to go eat.
But I did watch. Good?
How would I know? I
thought you ate.
No, I went to go.
Down?
I left. I went to Bonefish. It was delicious.
Bonefish is nice.
But they had like this tray of all these little desserts. The food all looked great, and it was great. It had this great theme. It was this Moulin Rouge theme and all that. So it was really cool. So I don't know how much money they raised, but I'm sure it was a lot because they usually raise a lot after it. And Nadine was on point. She's really good.
She always is. She's a top-notch speaker.
Yeah. So then together,
yes, we
did a couple of things.
Yeah. We saw. We'll go chronologically. We saw an Orlando Fringe show called.
I love it when you have a lot of drinks.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest with you and Caitlin and our studio audience. I have to pee like crazy. So I'm listening to your story and I just feel my bladder like pulsating, and I was like, Is that all you? And then when you got that's all I can think about.
When you really
got
to go, it's all you can think about.
Yeah. So we are going to. We're going to.
Oh, you should have gone while I was talking about my week.
Well, here's I want to try this out.
Now there's not a real spot.
We saw a Fringe show. I'm going to do this in less than a minute. I swear to God. We saw a Fringe show, so I'm going to let you.
Couldn't we?
Does that work? I don't know how technology works.
We'll just do it all at the same time.
Okay.
We'll pause.
Tell me when.
In 3, 2, 1. And we're back.
All right.
Freshly peed.
We went and saw one Fringe show. And if there's one Fringe show you're going to see, this is the one to see. So we went and saw when you got back from New York.
Is that the pull quote for the poster now?
Sure. This is the best Free Willy movie there's ever been. So we went and saw Pup Play, a queer pseudo lecture of sorts. They have it in like quotation marks. So it is about a professor, a professional handler. Professor Handler, David is his name. And he basically talks to us about, I'll read this for you because I don't want to say this with you all thinking that these are my words. These are his words on the description of his show. His show is on how to put your puppy bitch boy into a submissive headspace through his system of Yelps, which he went through in his show. Yelp stands for stuff. I don't recall what it is, so I'll just make it up. You, eyes, leprosy, people, and pseudoscience.
I may have zoned out for a minute until I heard the word leprosy. Did you precede this with you're going to make this shit up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I zoned out on that part.
He told us what Yelps means. It's apparently an acronym in the pup world.
First is yes.
Oh, you remember? I didn't remember, so I just didn't make it up.
I'm a good student.
Oh, good for you.
First
Why
is yes. Why is yes? Because you have to say yes.
Eyes, right? 'Cause I
Eyes
remember that.
is eyes. You make
L,
eye contact.
let me see if I can get it. L is learning.
I wanted to say listening.
That's probably
but I
right.
could be wrong.
No, you're probably right. P is for
Perfection. The
pussy.
U is for unique.
It's
Supersonic.
for, and S is for you silly goose.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know
you know
what
what?
it is.
I was in our defense. The last two.
Yeah.
He ran through in like 30 seconds.
He did because we were at the media run of this show.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a dress rehearsal run through to kind of test things out. So it ran a little long. So yeah, the last two he kind of sped through. But it's basically on how the pup culture and his life journey through that.
Yeah. I think that maybe the description and the title of the show would have benefited the show more if it read just what you said.
Yeah.
It's a pup's life journey to this subculture.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. Rather than like this, like how to beat your bitch boy pup into like a submission. Because I don't think that actually ever...
He didn't really go into a lot. It was mostly his life experience in becoming a pup and how he learned about Yelp.
Yeah.
And then he
What do you
took
think
his
his Yelp
pants off and
rating
showed
is?
his penis. Is that what the P stood for? Was it penis? Because he showed his penis.
Was it Yelp?
Yeah, Yelp. Yelps.
I don't know.
Yelps. Anyway, here's the thing that was intriguing to the show before we went. Because on all Fringe shows, they put warnings. Like, this show contains. And here's a list of the warnings that are on the Fringe's website. Adult language. Audience interaction, which I know is the one you hate the most. Bodily
There was so much audience interaction.
bodily fluids. Death. Did someone die?
They talk about death.
Oh, okay. Mature themes, nudity, sexual content, sexual assault, strobe lights, suicidal ideation.
Was there sexual
violence.
assault?
He talked about how kind of some of the rough stuff. I guess that's
because he's like, we didn't talk about this beforehand.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he just went into it. And then other, which I guess that just includes all of the above.
Maybe the other was the audience members.
Maybe. So we get into the show. If anybody's never been to a media preview of a Fringe show, it's not just media. It's also sponsors and performers from other shows
and patrons who give a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a group of people minus the journalists. It's a group of people who feel entitled or obligated to participate in these
or it's
shows.
like it's a family of people who are very comfortable with themselves.
Yes, and comfortable shouting out during the show.
And they all know each other, and so we're kind of the outsiders in that. and they feel very comfortable.
I will say
to
the
shout
show
out.
was in the green venue, which if you've ever been in the Family Orlando stage in that back theater, it's all concrete floors. So any fluids you get on the floor are easy to clean up. And there is a scene in this where he has someone from the audience come up and take a giant syringe filled with semen and squirt it all over his face.
Yeah, that went over real well.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I just gotta say, there was just somebody in the audience that was like very reactive to everything that was happening. Very vocal.
There
very
were two
reactive.
of them, actually. There was the one
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and
But
then there was the one who, in the beginning, when we were waiting outside, she came up, did I miss it? Did I miss it? I'm glad I didn't miss it. I was like, you need to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, and then she left before it was her. Anyway,
Yeah. I think that's because it did run over its allotted time, because it
Yeah.
started late, too.
It did start late, yeah. And then they had a different show to go to for their previous. So I get it. But the person that volunteered to go up and his words, not mine, when he yelled out, "Who wants to come on my face?"
Exactly, yeah.
I'm assuming gender here. I could be wrong. I'll just say they. So they stand up and they go over there and they do it and they push on the thing, but they didn't. I don't know what was in there, or I don't think they did either, and they didn't know where it was going to squirt. So they overshot his face. And that's funny.
He got a little bit on his face, but most of it got on the floor.
I've seen that video before too. Bellamy, as we talked about last time. So, so then he said, "This is hilarious because this is what happens when you have audience participation. You assume that they're going to know what you're saying, and so he says, okay." You can go sit down now. Meaning, like, go back to your seat. And he said,
she tried to sit right there on the floor.
He said, sit. So she goes to sit on the floor. He's like, no. Back to your seat. But then I think that she it was dark in there. And also, I think that there's a degree of sight that they don't have. So they started to go back to the wrong seat and they're facing the wrong way. And then somebody out of the audience got up and walked them over to their seat. And it was just a whole odd situation. Whole thing. And we're like, okay. But at least, so before the show started, there was a sign up that said, if you want to participate, get a name tag and put your name on the name tag, and that's how I'll know you want to participate. But they didn't have name tags, so I told Jeremy, I was like, if he comes up to me to pull me on that stage, I'm out. I'll just walk out the door. And but he didn't. Thankfully, he asked for volunteers, so we got a couple, and it was fun.
So it's a show.
I did say something. About the last show that we saw that had nudity in it. That was sort of minimalized the female body. So I will do the same for this and say that this has full nudity from nips to nuts.
Yes, full frontal nudity.
Full frontal. All on. Now, it's not 25 minutes of it dancing around.
Yeah, he gets in a little dog cage and naked. Was he naked at that point?
I don't think he was naked in the dog cage.
I don't remember if he was naked at that point. But I mean, he's basically in a jockstrap for most of it.
Oh, yeah. He's in an assless jockstrap.
And then he gets into a little leather suit, and he cries a lot. And then something that we commented last week that seems to be a theme with a lot of these shows is it gets to the point of times are hard, things suck, and then we get lectured about not doing enough to stop it.
I don't want to say anything. And it's not just in Fringe; it's everywhere. I just read an article where somebody was having a conversation with the publisher of another place, and he said he was blaming the media for being complicit in this, in what Trump is doing, and it's just sort of like, did the left just learn this new word, complicit, right? And they're just going to yell it at everybody all the time?
Word, like, there's a Pee Wee Herman episode, and complicit is the word,
right? And
we're just trying to get people to scream as much as we can, so they're like, "You're complicit!" Ah!
Yeah, and so it was just interesting because then I'm like, oh, well, then maybe I'll do it too, and I'll just say you're all complicit in not uplifting, local free LGBTQ plus journalism.
Yeah. But
so you're just sitting there on your asses.
I've only seen, and we've only seen like 4 or 5 shows, but we've been lectured about not doing enough about Trump, not doing enough about the idea of sexual exploration,
right.
of you know, not appreciating Titanic enough. I mean, just it crosses the spectrum.
Look, I'll make it easy on everybody.
I'm trying, everybody.
The only thing that I do, and I do well, is up the numbers for any show that Dick Wolf produces. Because I watch every single one of them. That's the only thing I do well. So everything else, I'm complicit in, and I should do better.
If you support anything Dick Wolf does, you not only support sex positivity, but you also support furries. Yeah. You got wolves and dicks.
Oh, there you go.
Dicks and wolves. Congratulations.
I didn't know I was doing so much good for the
You're
world.
better than I am.
Anyway, I will say.
So we did that.
I want to say this about this performer, though. He's really good.
He's very passionate about it. I will say, while I don't like to be lectured to, across the board, I appreciate the passion that performers are bringing to Fringe this year. They're very passionate about what they're into.
He has command of the stage. You know, my one thing I dislike the most about shows is if somebody's wandering around aimlessly.
Yeah.
He knows where he's going and when. He knows what he's saying.
He's knowledgeable on the topic. He knows what he's talking about.
And it's an interesting show. So he did a good job.
Yeah. And I will say, of all, we've seen a lot, maybe about 5 or 6 shows so far. So it's still early in the festival. But this is, of the shows we've seen, this is one of the better ones I've seen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So go and check that out.
And then we went to Sanford to see a show.
We sure did. We went to...
Look at us. We're world travelers.
We do. We travel up and down...
I-4
the 417.
And 417. We're branching out. All the numbers. I feel like we're in an episode of The Californians.
Yeah.
We took the 417 to the 408 to the 17
down to the 525
to the 1792.
And then we turned around International Drive.
Jeremy, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? No, we went to Sanford to the Ritz Theater to see the Orlando Gay Chorus's 35th anniversary concert. Sorry, I got itchy eye.
Sorry. I know. Jeremy's going through it, y'all. It's hot as hell in here,
and
he's
so
drinking
fucking hot.
He's drinking a bottle of wine, and we're
God.
We're sweating like a pup in neoprene.
So we went to Sanford, which is a lovely little town. I love Sanford.
It's really cute.
On. And the theater is cute. It's a very little
very
cute theater.
It's right around the corner from that delicious German restaurant.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right. If you don't
Right around
town,
the corner.
So we went and they start off with I think, was it a Queen song? Is that what they started off with? I'm trying to remember what they started off with.
I get it confused with American Idol, which started its finale off last night with "We Are the Champions."
I heard that the person who won, it was the most amount of votes that American Idol had ever had. By the way, I have the program here, so I'm going to look
They
it
had
up.
26 million votes, and I would say that 6 million of them came from me for the runner-up. I told everybody right off the bat, I said, this guy that's the second place, he will not win because I want him to. And I always pick second place. I never pick the winner.
I will say, I don't watch a lot of reality shows, but the reality shows that you've made me watch as a result of either this podcast or me staying you with it for a short period of time.
Or holding your job over your head. Yeah.
You always pick the loser. Every show we watch, it's like, I like that. We're like, fuck that guy. And that guy always wins. You're like, why don't my people ever win?
You are not helping Dylan's self-esteem right now.
No, just in reality shows, not in real life.
Yeah, I do not. I don't pick the
We Are
winners.
Family is what they started with.
Oh, right.
So they started with that, which was good. But then they went into Over the Rainbow, which was...
So good.
I was trying not to look at you because I felt myself starting to tear up because it was so good. And I was like, I can't fucking look at him if I'm going to cry. Because
you do not want to cry in front of me.
No,
you don't.
I don't.
Because I will. You know what? You crying in front of me would be like that episode of Modern Family where Jay cried in front of Phil. And I'd be like, oh, are you feeling?
Oh my God. Are you crying?
I want to hug you.
I would never cry in front of you. But I almost did with it. It was so beautiful, their version of
It was fantastic.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It was amazing.
And what was really cool about the whole experience is that it's their 35-year anniversary, and that it means so much to them. And I just love watching like people doing, and there were so many of them on stage, and then they had this group.
There was, what would you say, 100, 150? There was
like,
a lot of people,
and then
they brought about 7 or 8 down, and they were like, these are the remaining original chorus members. And there's only about 6 or 7 of them. And it's because, a lot of people don't like to think about it, but it's because that they got started at the height of the AIDS pandemic when we were losing people.
Yeah.
So there were people on the concert or in the chorus who performed who died in the first couple of years because of AIDS. And there's only a handful of them left of the originals. And they just, the whole Over the Rainbow was very moving.
And I mean, one of the originals came down with his husband and they give a little speech about what it all meant to them. And it was really good. It was really good. And then, what's the song? Somebody to Love.
Somebody to Love. That's the Queen song I was thinking of.
Yeah.
They had a gentleman and a lady come down. And I leaned over to you and I said, I feel like these two watched Peebo Bryson and Celine Dion performing Beauty and the Beast, because that's the vibe. I mean, her voice gave me chills.
She was really good.
She was so good.
Yeah, I
don't
could
know if
watch
her
her do a
name's in
whole
here.
concert.
They don't have her name down here.
Yeah.
But she was phenomenal. She was giving me Celine Dion vibes, and I did it. I loved it.
I was very, very happy with the whole thing.
Absolutely.
It was really good.
Beautiful.
And if you listen to the commercials at the beginning of this show, they are performing again.
Yeah. Oh, I have it right here. So they do two shows. We went and saw the one on the 16th in Sanford, but they are doing one on the 28th at Steinman's Hall in Dr. Phillips Center. So that's a huge venue.
I know.
So get your tickets, go see it, because
I want to go again because I want to hear her sing in Steinmetz Hall.
I can't imagine them singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, her singing in that venue. I would love to see it again.
Yeah.
We should
It's
see if
really
we can
great.
get tickets. I mean, I'd go again.
All right.
But it's May 28th at 7 p.m.
That's Friday or Saturday?
The 28th
Because I'll be back.
is a
Everyone hold, please, while we work out our schedule.
day in May. It's a Wednesday. Ooh, I felt like I was rapping. It's a day called Wednesday in May.
I'm definitely in St. Pete.
Oh. Well, I'm definitely in Orlando.
You should go.
So maybe I'll go. But I will say, and this is something that's not just specific to Orlando Gay Chorus, but I have become, I used to date.
I feel like I'm drinking.
I used to date an ASL interpreter.
We're going to talk about him?
No, we're not going to talk about him. We're going to talk about ASL. But the guy, this was years ago. I won't use his name, but we dated for a while. And it was during a period of my time where I wasn't in a committal time. So I kind of pushed him away. And I wish I wouldn't have, because he was a great guy. He ended up marrying a woman. I know. And
Talk about bottom energy.
He married a woman, and my friend, who's friends with him on Facebook, messaged me. This was like years later, and said, I don't know if you're still follow or you're friends with blah, 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 but do you know that he recently got married? And I said, I didn't know that. And she said, yeah, I'm going to send you their wedding photo, because he has it posted on his Facebook. And I want you to tell me if I'm just being crazy or if there's something very specific about this photo that you will find interesting. So she sent me the photo, and I'm not even kidding. It is me in drag.
No.
Yes, it is me in
I need to see this photo.
I will see if I can find it. He married a woman who looks like me, and I was like,
hey,
I don't know how to feel about
some
that.
people
like,
got
I
a
feel,
type.
yeah. I mean, he definitely has a type. She was full on ginger, had freckles. She had more red hair. My hair's gone more gray now and darkened up, but she had the red hair I used to have.
Did she have a beard? No.
She did not have a beard.
She just is one.
But I have no doubt. Well, he might be bi. I'm
That's
not
true.
going to
That's
judge.
true.
But I have no doubt that if she could grow a beard, it would be this gingery beard that I can grow. But she looks just like me. She's a little thick. She's cute.
Wow.
She's just like me. Anyway, so I forget even how we got on this topic.
Oh, I know. You were talking about the interpreters.
Oh, the interpreters, yes.
There was a very handsome young man.
There was a group of interpreters. Now, before we get into the interpreters, I've been into ASL for a while. I love ASL. So there are certain movies and TV shows on HBO Max that they have ASL interpreters. So you and one of them is The Last of Us. So if you pull up ASL supported The Last of Us, you watch the show, but there's an ASL interpreter in the corner. And how passionate and how much they get into this, I can't even watch it without the ASL. I am so obsessed with them. They get so into it with their characters. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's great. And when you see it at a show like the Orlando Gay Chorus, they get the song list ahead of time, and they listen to the song, and they get they know what it's going to be. And so they're dancing and doing the sign language, and they're really into it. And it really makes it enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love at any show I go to, I don't know ASL at all, but I end up watching the ASL interpreters the entire time.
That's how I got on that. The gentleman, I almost said his name. The gentleman, he was an ASL interpreter, and he used to do concerts at Universal. And he would rehearse them for me, and I would get so turned on. I just thought it was so hot. He's
my
like into it. I was like, oh, God.
My favorite was
I got chills.
When they would get. So I used to work at Hard Rock Live, and so we would find out when they were going to use ASL interpreters at shows. Like if somebody were called and requested it, then they'd have to provide somebody. Yeah. And so somebody did, and inevitably, I almost did it once myself, even though I didn't need it. But
do you know ASL?
No, but I wanted to request it for this specific show because it's hilarious. And when Lisa Lampanelli would come into town and they would get an interpreter, she would just like get every cuss word and watch them do this whole. It was hilarious.
Yeah, one of them that he did. It was that summer series that they do. It was the year that Ludacris was there, and he did Ludacris's concert. And I saw a video of him doing Ludacris, and I have never wanted him more.
And you wanted to see a video of him doing Ludacris.
I don't know what it is, but they get into it, and they're like bobbing. It's just, there's so much fluidity and energy in it. I was so turned on by it.
And the very handsome young man who was involved in this show that we saw.
In Orlando
he was dancing and doing his thing.
There was the older woman who's done these for years. Yes. I've seen her at concerts. And then there was like I don't know if they were her apprentice, but there was a young girl and a young boy.
She was just going to throw them into an oven at the end of the night and cook them.
It did have a bit of a Hansel and Gretel feel. So she was an old lady and then a young boy and a young girl. Not like young. They weren't like 12. They were like of age. So I don't want to sound creepy.
Yeah.
But he got up there and I nudged you and I was like, look over here. He was a very handsome fella.
He's a handsome fella.
Handsome fella, and he got up and done one song, and then he sat down and didn't get up again. And I was like, why aren't they letting him get up there and do it again? Let it work.
He probably whispered to them and said, hey, the old guys from the Muppets won't stop staring. Do you mind taking this song for me?
But he was so good.
What are their names? I forget their names. I always want to say the names of the old guys from Trading Places. Mortimer and Randolph and Mortimer or something like that.
You're thinking of the Muppet guys.
Yeah, what are the Muppet guys' names?
Oh, God.
Anyway.
I can't remember the names. But yeah, that's very much us when we go to a show.
So it's a great show. Definitely go see it.
Absolutely go see it. Like I said, May 28th, Steinman's Hall, Dr. Phillips Center starts at 7 p.m. Get your tickets at orlandogaychorus.com/shows.
And the
Stalter and Waldorf for their names.
Like nonprofits are suffering right now, and entertainment organizations are suffering right now. And this is a nonprofit entertainment organization. Go buy raffle tickets.
Do it.
Bid on things. Show them their support. Because I'll tell you what.
Do it.
Any place that requests the Orlando Gay Chorus to show up, I've never known them not to.
Oh no,
and
they will go wherever you ask them to go.
And all they want to do is spread joy and music and queerness. And
I know we make fun of a lot of people on here, but I have so much respect for the Orlando Gay Chorus, and I love them. And they every time they do a fantastic job. And they've come out to we don't call them Third Thursdays anymore, but when we did, they've come down to Third Thursdays, and I'm sure they'll come out to our Out and Abouts or whatever we call them now. They're just fantastic, and they're always ready to help out the community whenever they can. So love them to death. Go see their show. It's 35 years. Go do it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to that ASL interpreter and to the rest of the chorus.
Is that all that we did?
Is that all that we did?
I know. Well, good. Yeah, and that's it. We don't have time to review a show.
Now a warning?
Jeremy.
So
Jeremy's getting drunk, y'all. This is good. This has been like 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, bottle's empty.
Oh my goodness.
It's the last glass, so we need to get through this.
Yeah. Let's so we decided to watch a show.
Okay, we watched a show.
You had recommended this, and then it got recommended.
I saw a trailer on Facebook of this, and then our Annie Wilkes, as I like to call him, our number one fan. By the way, as long as he promises not to hobble me, I will come stay at his house and sleep in a bed in the spare room and write him a book as Annie Wilkes request that James Caan does in Misery. Am I the only one who saw Misery?
I'm like,
do you not know where I was going?
I'm sitting back like, where the fuck is this going? Like, you're gonna go to our fan's house and stay there?
I was like, oh, is this because
As long as he doesn't break my ankles.
I did not
I was
realize
going Misery.
the
Sorry.
character's name.
I should have specified Annie Wilkes is from Misery.
That's why I was like, why would he hobble you? Like, what messages have you read that I haven't read? Anyway,
he recommended Amazon Prime's new series, Overcompensating. So Overcompensating, before this show, have you heard of Benito Skinner at all?
no.
He's the star of it, but he's also the creator and the writer of the series.
Yes, and I looked up other things. I didn't recognize anything
No,
that but he
came
looks
out of
familiar.
nowhere. He not only looks familiar, but he's fine as fuck.
He's very good looking.
He's so good looking.
But I will say this though, is that at some point to me, it felt like he resembled the guy from Red, White, and Royal Blue. The American guy.
Oh, yeah.
So he
I
resembled
can
that
see
to me.
that.
And then what was weird is I don't know if technology has gotten to the point where it reads your mind yet, but when this series ended, the next thing that Amazon played for me was Red, White, and Royal Blue. So I was like, oh, that's weird.
I will be honest that I don't know if they're just pushing the movie. It doesn't matter what I watch. And maybe it's because I watched Red, White, and Royal Blue about 400 times. It doesn't matter what I watch on Amazon.
That's because
if I let it carry over, the next thing it's like, do you want to watch
That's
Red,
because
White,
you're
Royal
the
Blue
unofficial
again?
spokesperson
I
for
am,
it.
yeah. And I was like, you know what, Prime? I do want to watch it again.
Maybe
Let's
somebody-
roll that beautiful bean
It's
footage.
because someone in Sri Lanka is in charge of what plays next on your thing, and they're like, we know this guy.
we know what he wants.
And it just
we
goes
know
right
what
to the
Jay
hand clasp
wants.
scene.
all Jeremy wants is one thing?
So no,
And
I had
that's
never,
Red, White, and Royal
I had never
Blue.
heard of him before. And this cast is just full.
Yeah,
of
there
famous
are so
people.
many cameos in this.
So many, and
so
they're-
it starts off. Benny is his name in the show. Benito Skinner's
Before
character.
you say exactly what it is,
Yes.
when he describes this, I want you to know that this. When I first started watching this, and the very first thing that happens, I thought to myself, "Is this a young Jeremy? Is this about Jeremy's coming of age story?"
You know, it could have been.
And then because you brought this up, the way like what's happening here happened to you, and you brought this up, and then right after that, I'm like, no, it turns into a young Ryan story.
It does. So we
I'll
start
tell you why.
with Benny as a child, and he watches Brendan Fraser in George of the Jungle. Now, I think that a lot of us little homo boys, whether we were if we were children or teenagers, when we saw Brendan Fraser swinging on that rope,
You mentioned this in the very first episode
Yeah.
of the podcast that it was one of
fell
your
in love with him.
coming of age things. Yeah.
he was one of
There you
those
go.
sexual awakening for me in George of the Jungle and in Mummy. And
And
I
this-
mean, Brendan Fraser, Gods and Monsters, just everything in the 90s. I was like, there's something happening to me down there. And then, just FYI, in case Brendan Fraser is listening,
God, turn off your camera.
he got me questioning a lot of stuff in my life. So then, young Benny
But
goes
he
from,
keeps rewinding it.
Yeah, he keeps rewinding it, and his friends are like, can we stop? And he's like, yeah, I hate this shit. Let's watch TRL. And he puts it on, and Britney Spears singing Lucky pops up.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally Ryan. Because Ryan's obsessed with Britney Spears. So it fast forwards to his college days. He's going to college, and he's this awkward little. This whole series is just about a bunch of people, college kids, who are new to life and awkward AF, as the kids say.
And I will say that the casting director for this was probably the same person that hired Jonathan Bailey to go to college in Wicked.
Yeah, because these
they're
are
all
not
like 30-year-old
Yeah,
college
these are not 18-year-old college
No.
kids. These are mid-20 to late 30s
And when
college
they
kids.
in the flashback scenes when they play college kids,
Yeah.
and then that guy from White Lotus is in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, dude, you're like
You're like 40. You're hot, but
yeah.
you're like 40.
right.
Anyway, so he goes to college. These are our first cameos we get. Benny's parents are played by Kyle MacLachlan and Connie Britton.
Yes.
Who are two fantastic actors who
love
are in
Connie
a
Britton.
shit ton of stuff. Connie Britton is in Friday Night Lights and American Horror Story and White Lotus. She was in
everything. 911.
911. Kyle MacLachlan was, for you uneducated plebeians, he
For you
was
complicit motherfuckers sitting in your
for
house.
you idiots who couldn't watch dirty movies. He was the guy in Showgirls who was in the pool with Elizabeth Berkley getting her fucking going.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in Sex and the City.
Twin Peaks. Did
he
you
was
say
in
Twin Peaks?
Peaks. He was in, he's like all over the place. Love that man. Oh, Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
Love this man. So they pop up, and I was like, is this show about them? They're in it for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, do your thing. He gets to college. He's basically been living in high school the life that his parents want him to live. He's the good boy.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Absolutely.
You didn't. I watched the whole series. You didn't. They
I
come
only
back.
watched the first 4 episodes.
They come back in the last.
Oh, do they?
The last
okay,
two.
good. I thought they would.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't pay Kyle MacLachlan and Connie Britton for 2 seconds. You bring them back. So they're dropping him off at college. He's very much a please his parents kind of guy. He was into football. And he was valedictorian. I wrote it down here. He was valedictorian. He was, where did my notes go? He was on the football team. He dated a cheerleader. Turns out it was a male cheerleader, but a cheerleader nonetheless. He was homecoming king. So he was everything his parents wanted him to be. He was like, I will be the upstanding kid that you want me to be. His sister goes to this college that he's going to. She's a little upset that he's going to her college. She's kind of an uppity twat kind of girl.
I don't think we've ever described anybody like that before on
I
this
love
show.
her, but she's a little bit of an uppity twat.
She's a very angry individual.
She is. And particularly towards him.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you come? You have been the golden boy. Go the fuck away. This is my campus.
Yes. And I mean, it's because she was tortured in high school.
Yeah.
He was the
golden boy. He got
and
everything. She was,
fact,
and I totally get that.
Her name is Grace.
I
and
also was the uppity twat in high school.
Her name is Grace, and in high school they called her Disgrace.
Oh.
And they made. Oh, you don't know that yet.
I don't know that.
Later on.
Do you know in high school they called me jockstrap? Because I took French, and we had to pick a French name, and I picked Jock. And then this guy in my French class was like, you're a jockstrap. And for 4 years, they called me fucking jockstrap.
And he's been a bottom ever since.
Origin story.
Thanks, Tommy.
Bottom's origin.
So we should mention Benny is a closeted homosexual. I'm sure you could tell that by the fact that he was into George of the Jungle and Britney Spears.
Yes.
Here's my notes. Benny played football in high school. He was homecoming queen, valedictorian, and
King.
dated a cheerleader, ...
He was
a
homecoming
male
king.
cheerleader. So yeah, I got all that right. While he's at orientation, he meets Carmen, who is another freshman. She is also awkward. She is also weird. And we find out as the series goes on, or at least in the first 4 episodes. You can correct me if something happens in the back half that I didn't see. But she's dealing with a lot of shit because she's kind of like Grace, where her brother got all of the attention in high school, and she was kind of latched onto him, and he died in a car accident in high school. So she kind of lost her identity when he died.
Well, they were best friends.
Yeah.
And when he died, she did all these things with him, and then when he died, she had no one to do these things with.
Exactly.
It's a running theme throughout this when
Yeah.
she finds people to do things with. Like the game she plays.
The game?
The video game.
Oh, yes.
I love the video game.
Where you have to kill all the sluts.
Yes.
Yes.
And she constantly is like, they're like, she plays the game with this guy later on.
Yeah, with Benny.
No, she plays with somebody else later on.
Oh.
You don't know who that is? There's so much you don't know that happens to her.
You just don't know.
He's like, he wants to let somebody live, and she's
just don't
like,
know.
no, the slut must die. So she starts killing them. It's pretty funny.
One of the things that I was just like, this whole show is just full of awkward fucking moments.
And terrible people.
Terrible people and awkward moments. But there's a point in the beginning during freshman orientation where they tell everybody to look to the person next to you and to say something interesting about yourself. And there's a gentleman next to Carmen.
Oh my God, I love him.
Who is Amanda Knox's cousin. Now, if you don't know who Amanda Knox is, go Google that shit.
Yeah.
But he's like defending her and shit. And Carmen's like, I don't want nothing to do with this.
It's so funny because no one asked him a question about it.
No, because nobody wants to deal with it.
Or they just like, whatever, nobody
Yeah.
cares. And then like every couple of minutes go by and then he'll say something like, she was innocent.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
His entire identity is Amanda Knox.
So there's him with this Amanda Knox thing. It's his entire identity. And then there's this other couple that they're in all these different scenes. You don't learn their names. They have no dialogue. They just make out. And they're making out all over the place. And in every episode, like people will be talking and behind them, you'll see these two people making out. And it's hilarious to me.
It's just a show of really awkward moments. And you know how I feel about awkward moments. So I'm watching this, and a lot of this show is me, and I was watching it alone, pulling the covers up to my nose and just having my eyes stick out. I was like, this is so embarrassing.
It's just it's a show of like, so you've got these theoretical late teens, even though they're like 40.
Yeah.
That are what's wrong? They're trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
Right? They've had like these traumatic things happen to them and they're trying to find themselves. And in doing so, they do really horrible things to other people. I started to relate to this a little bit. I mean,
Did you?
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
I'm sure I was
college,
a lot of this when I was younger.
in college, I did some terrible things like that I would never do now.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure, why not? No,
You want to go into it?
There's somebody I went
What'd
to
you
college
do?
with. And there was this guy I went to college with. I was like enamored with him. He was fun. He was very talented at what he did, which is clogging. He was.
No. You can't just pass over that.
He was
a clogger?
He was not just a clogger. He was the international clogging champion individual.
Best of the field.
Anyway,
God. How many times were you hauled up on the flagpole by your underwear?
by him once.
Ooh,
no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That didn't happen. For those that are listening that I went to college with, because this is what got me in trouble, right?
Exaggerating?
No.
Lies.
I was enamored with him. He had a girlfriend. But he gave off what one on this podcast might call big bottom energy. And it's so much so that we were all watching Clueless. Remember in Clueless?
Is there a scene in this movie where the gay guy is talking to the girl and she says, I'll top you or something like that? Because he's like giving bottom energy. And I don't remember what it was. I'll go back and watch.
Yeah,
something about, she'll top me or something.
So, but anyway, everybody assumed this guy was gay, and then he was there for a couple of semesters before she came to the thing, and they're all very nice. They're lovely people. I think they all hate me now, but that's okay.
What?
Do
they hate you, or you just think they hate you?
Wait until I finish the story.
Okay, sorry.
and then you can tell me, and everybody. Then that lady that commented on your thing can tell me what an asshole I am.
Did she go to school with you?
So we're all watching Clueless, and she falls in love with the gay guy. This girl and this whole group of people was like, oh my God, like he's so obviously gay. How can she not see that? And like everybody in the room was like,
did they all stare at you?
no, they all stared at her.
Oh.
Because they were like, your boyfriend is really gay. But anyway, so then I don't know how.
Did she ever catch on?
I don't know how it came about, but it ended up that this guy and I would go to this gay bar all the time in Asheville, and he would have me cover for her. We would drive out there, and then he would be like, hey, I'm going to go home with this guy. Can you take her? It was his girlfriend's car, and I would have to drive that back to college, and then I have to drive back out the next day to get him and all this kind of stuff. And it went on for a little while, but this is like in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And so, it kind of came out that this was happening, and it was the 90s in in the mountains of North Carolina, and so it became this thing of like, is he being safe? Is she at risk? And then all of a sudden everybody was like, this is all has to come out. So I'm in my college room, and there's like this bang at the door. And it's
Now, really good. You were out in college, so they knew you were
they
gay.
knew I was gay.
Okay.
Everybody did. And it banged on the door, come out, and she was crying and screaming and was like, "You're going to tell me everything, and you're going to tell me right now." And so there was, and what I've left conveniently out of this conversation is that there was a night where he and I fooled around a little bit.
While he was dating her? Oh my God, you are this show.
I am this show. I'm telling you. That's why I can say, like, I get what, I mean, they're terrible. They did terrible things to each other.
I think that at that age, while these actors are obviously older than what the character's supposed to be, I think when you're at that age, you're in college, you know, from high school to college. Yeah, you do stupid things because you're stupid. You're just a stupid kid.
100%.
Yeah, and you just do stupid things.
Yeah, and you know, so that's why I kind of related to this idea that they've. You know, that's not something people didn't like me. I wasn't somebody that people were attracted to.
Yeah.
You know, and so when anybody was, it was like I jumped on the chance. You know,
Yeah.
and it was more like, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I would never do anything like that now.
Yeah.
So anyway, all of us stopped being friends after that, and I don't know where they are. I'm Facebook friends with one of them, with the girl, I think, and I see that she's successful and she's great. She's always an amazing person, and I really liked her.
Yeah.
You know, and that, you know, anyway.
It happens.
So I see this show and I'm like, God, these people are terrible. But I have to remember when I was that age, I made some really stupid choices too, and
I didn't
hurt people
go
in
into
ways that
college
shouldn't have.
right after high school. I did one semester, but then I went in the military. And so all of my kind of stupid shit like that was in the military. And when I was in Aviano, my first 2 years in the Air Force, I had come out to my friends, my close friends, and there was an individual in that group who was sort of like a undercover fag hag. And what they would do is, I didn't realize this. I don't think we're supposed to say that. But there was like this group of fag hags who would go out into the base and find closeted gay guys and then invite them into this group of other closeted gay military folks. And they would have like these groups, like every couple of weeks, they would go out away from base on the weekends so you could hang out with gay people. And
I swear I thought the word orgy was coming out of your mouth.
Oh, no. So the first gay club I ever went to was this group who invited me to go out with them. And the first gay guy I had met in the group was the guy that this girl who was friends with my friend Jen was friends with him. They were kind of like, you know, she was the quote unquote fag hag who went out. And she's like, you got to meet my friend Mondo. So I met him. And he's kind of, you know, he's cute. He's a little queenie guy. And then he and her invited me out to the larger group. And we went out to the bar. And Mondo had this crush on one of the gay guys. And his name was Ryan. And he was in Fuels. And he was like to hang out at the gym. And was very muscular. And Mondo was obsessed with him. So Ryan liked to tease Mondo because he wasn't attracted to Mondo, and he would be a dick to him. So the first time I went out with them, we were all hanging out, and he started like grinding on me and making out with me to basically piss Mondo off, and I was totally into it. But it was like this whole show, like this whole drama of this person didn't like this person, but he liked the attention that this person gave him, so he was a total dick, and I totally emerged into that whole thing, and I was like, oh, this is exciting. And I look back now, like if I looked at me back then, just like the show, I'd be like, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Doing this stupid shit.
You know, but what's interesting about it is while they're doing terrible things or making poor decisions and hurting other people are making terrible decisions that hurt them.
Yeah.
And which also reminds me of college. Because when I was there in college,
back and
there
forth.
was somebody that was like, hey, you know, that seemed to be interested in me, and then we would fool around, and then when we were done, he would say, do you regret doing this? And I would be like, no. And he goes, I'll make sure you do. And then he would leave my room.
Oh my God.
And it was just sort of like, it's this
kids that age, gay or straight, they're just fucking assholes.
It was just a really a weird time when it came to that. But I can see why they do this. And I will say this is about this show is he's written something that's very realistic.
Yeah.
Even though it's campy and over the top, it's
shit that happens.
It is realistic.
Yeah.
And that whole like secret society of people that are, trying to like, oh, you have to do this to get into it. It's that whole fraternity culture, and it really is like that.
It gets into that whole. Now, I don't know if fraternities and sororities are this way now, because I never, even when I went to college, by the time I went to college, it was after the military, so I didn't do the whole frat thing. But so my experience with frats is like 80s and 90s movies. But in here, it's not like, oh, here's the frat, here's the sorority. It's like one organization that takes in men and women.
Well, it's because this isn't a fraternity. It's a secret society. So it's more like...
So is that like the new fraternity, or do they still do fraternities?
They still do fraternities and sororities. But this was a different thing. It was like it, but not, because it was a secret society, and they were like, if you get into this, then you've got it made, and like this is where senators and presidents come out of, and that kind of a thing. So anyway, we had sat down to watch the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, we watched the first 3 episodes. You actually watched the whole season.
I watched the whole season because I didn't really like the show.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the 3rd episode, it was like, this might be getting good. So I watched another episode and another one, and then I was hooked.
Yeah.
So it did take a couple. So like, if you're going to give it a shot, give it at least a 4.
Yeah. So I watched the first 3 episodes that we initially said. And
then you watched the 4th for a very specific reason.
The 3rd episode ended around 12:30 last night. And whenever you're streaming something and you pull up the new episodes, they have the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And the thumbnail is Benny Miles, who is the guy who Benny has a crush on, and another guy, and they are completely nude. They're holding their hands over their junk, but the thumbnail is the 3 of them nude holding their hands over their junk. And I was like, I don't need sleep. I can watch this one, and I'll watch the first 4 episodes. So I watched that one, but them being nude is only like 2 minutes of the whole fucking episode.
Yeah.
I felt so let down. But they're so hot. I don't know if you know that, because you're not a big Marvel guy, but Miles is the hot guy from Miss Marvel, the TV show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
God, I love him.
And then
to see him, he has a sweet ass. I'm sorry. If you're listening, guy who plays Miles, you have a sweet ass.
There is a character, the girl, Carmen, has a roommate.
Yes.
Who is super obnoxious. Super obnoxious.
Annoying.
If for any of those who watched the show Reba, not the new one with the bar, but the other one when her husband left her, this character reminds me of what Reba's friend, who is now married to her ex-husband, what she must have been like in college. She's a lot. But it gets funny as time goes on.
Yeah, she's definitely the comic relief, but there are points in this, at least in the first 4 episodes, where it's just too much.
Do you want me to tell you one thing that happens in it?
Absolutely.
That I don't want to give away the end, but Carmen ends up sleeping with
my glasses
sleeping with several times with Benny's sister's
Peter.
Yeah.
With Benny's
sister's Peter.
No, because at the end of the 4th episode, she's leaving the concert, and she's had that lactose intolerant issue.
Oh, yeah.
And Benny just overheard his frat bros being like, what a loser. So they're both in down areas, and they run into each other, and he's like, come with me. And they're going to fuck.
Yeah, and they do.
Yeah,
and
they are.
And then she ends up becoming friends with Benny's sister.
No.
And then it's a whole thing. And there's many...
a part, at the beginning, I'm like, Benny's sister is so obnoxious and such a bitch. And then by the 4th episode, I was like, I can say she's basically been trying to climb uphill her whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and she finally gets, because Benny's like, or Peter's like, you're my girlfriend, and that's your personality. You're all about me. And she starts to try to form her own thing.
Yeah.
Like, good for you.
You know that stereotypical double standard, where if a guy is ambitious, then that's just the way it should be. But if a girl is, then she's a bitch. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
That's how they treat her. And when she finally just says, hey, I'm going to take my life. I'm going to live my life for me.
He gets all pissed about it.
Yeah, it's great. And
now,
she's great.
Granted, Peter is hot as fuck. He's
White
he was in
Lotus.
White Lotus. He's hot. But still, let her be her.
He is
I
hot.
felt bad for her in the 4th episode, and then she gets her.
He's such a douche in the show, though.
He
Ugh.
is. I love him. He's so hot, but he's such a douchebag.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh, we forgot to mention Benny's roommate, Trey. So there's a lot of, you see a lot of people's asses, and you see
a
some
lot of
tits.
you said a lot of Trey's
But
penis.
you see Trey's dick. And it is, I'm sorry, if you're listening, Ma, I need you to turn it off right now.
Oh God, I think I should too.
Trey has a beautiful penis. Trey, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you've been in, but I want to see more of it. There's 2 scenes.
Oh, you should watch the rest of the episodes.
Where he's just full on he's lacrosse, is that what he plays? Or he's a rower?
He's a rower. He's on the crew team.
He's on the road team.
Oh, you don't know
And-
this, but Benny lies to his family and says he's on the road team, and probably I think he steals his
Benny,
roommate's shirt.
come on, Benny, stop lying. Anyway,
That's a running theme.
That's part of the thing. In the first 4 episodes, him and
the whole show.
Carmen get in a fight because he tells everybody that he titty fucked her, but he didn't titty fuck her. It's a lie because you're gay.
There's so many things that happen in this show
It's
that
so
I don't feel
all over the
comfortable
place, and
telling
it's
you.
so cringy, and it's
Yeah,
so
the language is cringy. I
Yeah.
mean, there are things that even I won't say.
But it's kind of hilarious. Like I was
did you
watching it, I was
see-
like, y'all are kind of funny.
Did you see the episode where where Carmen goes to lunch or dinner or whatever with the other girls that are part
Yes,
of it?
and she's lactose intolerant.
Well, and there she uses the C word.
Oh,
She's trying
yeah.
to get in with them, and they're
Because
like, we don't
when
talk
she's hanging
like
out
that.
with Benny says it. She's like, I've never said that word. He goes, come on, say it. And she's like, cunt. And then they all giggle. And then they're at dinner where they order. I love fettuccine Alfredo, but they order a bucket of fettuccine Alfredo for the table to share. And I felt nauseous watching them eat it. And she's like, I can't eat that. I'm lactose intolerant. And they're like, because she's trying to get into this secret society. And they're like, that's weird. So
Yeah.
she's like, I'll eat it. It's fine.
Yeah,
So she eats all this fettuccine Alfredo, being lactose intolerant. And then she throws out the word cunt. She's like, you dirty cunts. And they're like, oh my God. Why would you say that? And she's like, well, she just called me a bitch. I'm like, bitch is fine, but you can't call us a cunt.
Yeah, I was really.
It's so awkward and cringy.
Our show's
But
got off the rails.
there's part of it where it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's a good show. I it's hard for me to the first 3 episodes I might have given it like two grapes,
Yeah.
but all in all, definitely 3.5. It's definitely worth the watch. What do you think that Rotten Tomatoes was?
Oh, is there
Because there is a Rotten
score?
Tomatoes.
All right. I will say before Rotten Tomatoes, just based on the first 4 episodes, I would give it 3 grapes. I would say, I don't know. I feel like before this came out, I saw a lot of stuff on Facebook and Twitter and people and TikTok, people really being like into this. So I'm going to say audiences were definitely into it. Maybe critics not so much. So okay, say critics 82, audiences 88.
Critics 94.
Holy shit.
Right? And
Critics fucking love this.
yeah, and audience 85.
Okay.
Now it just came out, so give it a couple of weeks and see if more reviews come in. But
Yeah, I'm surprised.
When I go back and talk about it, when I go back and think about it,
You get excited about it?
It's way more entertaining than when you're actually just watching it,
Yeah.
because it just seems like this over the top, crazy language, crazy things happening. But when you start talking about it and you realize that, hey, maybe this is what it's like.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about this earlier, but there were a couple of moments where, like, just boom, out of nowhere, my eyes welled up.
Yeah.
And because it's like these really incredible
really
moments.
intense emotional
come
moments that just
across.
pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, he does a really good
And
job.
I mean, we both know what it's like to be in the closet and to I feel like a guy who is in the closet, or even a girl who's in the closet, there's this overcompensation to be, for guys to be overly masculine, for women to be overly feminine. And a lot of that is Benny trying to be overly masculine to kind of deter people from thinking he might be gay. And I identified with a lot of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of those parts where he's like, trying to be overly masculine And I was like, I remember those in the military.
Yeah.
You're talking about pussy.
And and the things that you would do just to get people to like you.
Yeah.
You know, and that you would hurt other people just to get people
Do
to like
you know? And this, she knew I was gay, so I threw in this by her. But I have photos of me.
You got Caitlin when you said pussy. She's like,
She was like, oh my.
it's every other word. I mean, these are the things that I don't talk about. Like he gets this one girl, he spreads her legs, and he's like, "Oh, this is later on."
Oh yeah,
and he's like,
go ahead.
he's like, I'm gonna eat that. He's like, I'm gonna eat that pussy. He's like, or no, he's like, oh, I'm gonna stick my face in your vagina. And she's like, okay, that's a weird way to put it. And her legs are up, and he's just, it's interesting. It's a good show.
No,
You gotta finish
when I was
watching.
in the military,
Yeah.
I had a friend her name was Tiana. She was in Station Aviano. We had gone to the beach together, and there are photos of me with her in a bikini and me in my shorts, and we're on the beach, and people took photos of us. And I told her when I go to my next bases, I was like, 'cause she knew I was gay, I was like, by the way, I'm going to hang these up and tell people we're boyfriend and girlfriend, so that it kind of deters away, because, you didn't want people to know you were gay. And she was perfectly fine with that. And for years, when I was in the dorms, I would hang these photos on my desk and put them on my desk and be like, oh yeah, that's my girlfriend Tiana. And to kind of deter people away. And I look back and I was like, how fucking sad is that? That you have to do shit like that so you don't... Oh. Let's kick my camera. So you don't get bullied for being a faggot.
It's so funny. The more that we talk about the show, the more I realize
the more it's a cool show.
Or that it's my.
I can't wait to go back and watch the last.
It's
4
my entire
episodes.
college experience.
Yeah.
So I think I told you this when I was in college. My second roommate was this really hot Swedish dude. And
that's hot.
And he came in from he came in from the shower, and he took his towel off and he hung it up, and he was walking around naked. And I was
your
like,
roommate was Trey.
I know, and I was like, I had to tell him though. I was like, you can't do that, and he's like, why? I was like, dude, I was like,
did he say why, or did he say, yeah, Richard, why can't I do that?
Are you not liking my penis?
Do you not like my penis? I thought we were just bros.
You can't stop looking at it.
If you don't like my penis, turn around, Richard.
And then I turned around.
And he's like, oh.
I couldn't. I dropped my
This
towel.
show has gone off the fucking rails.
I know. We need to end it. It's our 3-hour-long episode.
All right.
We got to go.
Anyway, this is a great show. I'm going to watch the other 4 episodes.
Yeah.
The more, you're right. I watched it and I was kind of like, all right. But the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I fucking dig it.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
You should see it. It might have 4 grapes now. For
Yeah.
me.
You know what? It's 4.5 grapes.
You know what? 32 grapes.
32.
No. All right. We're gonna cut this shit off. And hey, go out. We don't know what we're watching next week. We'll figure it out.
Something.
But we're watching something.
Yeah.
All right.
But until then, the cork is back in the bottle.